Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7, and I'm back with another track guide for this week's Daily Race B at Red Bull Ring in Group 3. Now you might be thinking you've already done a track guide at this combination, however, I've decided when there's a definite difference between the cars, like for example this where the strongest car is the NSX, totally different handling model to where the Subaru was strong, Subaru FR car. This is a mid-engined rear-wheel drive car, so it's a different type of car that you're gonna have to drive, and there's a few things that you're gonna need to do to really maximize that lap time. So I wanted to get a separate guide out, and it's something we might do for a few combinations. If there's an FR guide out, try and get an MR guide out sometimes. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit more, and yeah, hopefully find you some time in this time trial, because the NSX is the strongest car for this combination. So let's see if we can manage to gain you some time, help you get up further in the grid, and basically make you have better race pace as well. Now there's a few things that you won't do in the race that will lose you a bit of time, as you see me going for a bit of a Tokyo drift session there on the replay. Make sure you watch at the end for the chase camera footage of that, because I'm surprised I managed to hold that. I personally blame the missus for this one, because she came into the bedroom and knocked the drawers onto the monitor while I was racing, and it put me off a little bit, but I managed to keep the car on the track and managed to get into the top 10 stars for the world rankings. Now we're probably not going to stay there, so it'll probably be knocked out, but yeah, if you do enjoy these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you thought of has it helped you out, has it got you further into improving on this track and gained you any time. So yeah, going into turn 1, the first braking marker you will be looking for is the 100 board. Now you're going to look out for that there, you can see it. We're going to brake a little bit short of that, so before the 100 board you're on the brakes, and we're going to go down through the gears. Now you're going to get over to this left hand side of the track and get your left hand tyre almost on the tarmac on the left of that green Astro, and you're going to go down second gear. So as we come into corner, we're going to go down to second gear, trail brake, then off the brakes, and then up to third gear before you get a little bit of throttling on second gear, then up to third gear before we hit the apex. You see, hitting that curb, and then keep that throttle as aggressive as you can. Now be careful, the car can slide a little bit through there, so you have to balance that throttle to get the best exit speed as possible. Now I didn't do that perfect, I'd actually done that nearly a tenth faster on a previous go, but going into the braking zone here, we're looking for that 100 board now, and we're braking again a little bit short of that 100 board. You'll hear the delta split tick in your ear, and that's pretty much the reference of where you're going to brake. Now we're going to go down to first gear, and we're going to try and rotate this car into that curb. It's quite important to get your right hand tyre into this curb and clip it, because it will help with rotation. So you see myself and Gallo in P1, the world top ranking lap there, hits the curb, then upshift to second after a brief little bit of throttle in first gear, and then power your way out the corner. Now I run a little bit wide there, and again lose a little bit of time, and again at this point of the lap I'm about a tenth down on what I'd done on a previous go, so this could have been a pretty good lap if I wouldn't have messed up the first sectors slightly. But now we're going to be looking for the 100 board on the left hand again for this turn right, the right hand corner up ahead, and we're braking just short of that. And again, trail braking down as you're going down through the gears into second gear, and again for this corner you're going to do a little bit of a gear shift to first gear. Well, this is what I do, then back up to second gear, gets a little bit of rear kicking out, and then it enables you to get on that throttle quite early. You can see we're on the throttle, clipping the apex with our right hand tyre, and on that throttle. Now be careful on the throttle on the exit. Don't just go maximum 100% throttle. You're going to go about 50% and then feed it into 100%. And then for these two left hand corners, again we're going to use a 50 board above our head there, and we're going to brake just short of that 50 board. So rotating the car through this corner, try and keep the car as narrow to the apex as you can. I go down to second gear to try and rotate it with the gear shift, and that will work. However, I do it a little bit too aggressive. So I'm on the throttle at this point, and this is where the drawer got opened in the bedroom and it clipped the monitor. And luckily, I managed to hold a drift all the way through the corner. You can see I just about caught it on the exit and kept the power down, so got a little bit lucky for that. Now for the second part, we're going to brake at the end of the green Astro there, and then try and chuck it in for this next left hand corner. So onto the brakes, and we want to go down to third gear. Now be careful you don't get your left hand tyre over the white line, because you can pick up a penalty on that corner as well. Now running along the curb on the throttle as early as we can, you really want to get as much exit speed from that corner as possible, because then you're working your way up this uphill section where if you really nail that corner you can gain half a tenth just on powering up to the next right hand corners. Now we're going to brake just short of the 50 ball, in between the 150, but actually a little bit closer to the 100. And we're going to go down to fourth gear, hold fourth gear for a little bit, then to third gear, get that rotation in with the way it kicks out the rear, and then onto the throttle. Once you're on this apex, you've got that tyre on the curb, you're going to get on that throttle quite aggressively, and just be careful you don't run too far wide. As long as your right hand tire stays on the curb on the right hand side, you should be okay. Using that end of the white, red, and the red, white, and red stripes, we use that as a reference for braking, and then try and get your car into this apex. You want to get your right hand tire as close to that yellow curb on the right as possible without hitting it, and then just get on the throttle. You have to be super aggressive on the throttle on the exit to carry the momentum onto the finishing line. We go over the line for a 1 minute 27.5, which I'm reasonably happy with. It was currently in the top 10 stars for the world rankings, which is not too bad because I only jumped on for a quick go before I did this video. So yeah, I'm sure I could go another 2 attempts quicker than that, which is not too bad. But yeah, we've got a reasonable lap in there. Let's have a watch of this lap again from the chase camera. You're going to see what I'm talking about with the gear shifts to help with rotation, and you're going to see that Tokyo drift session that we do on the middle of the lap. So going up into turn 1, you can see I use that first gear for rotation up into this corner. So again, before the 100 board, then that little shift of first gear, you can actually see the rotation on the car with the MR cars. But you have to be careful. You have to try and get on that throttle super early with MR cars, because if you stay off the throttle and let it coast too long with shifting like that, you're just going to spin round and you'll be facing the wrong way. So always bear that in mind. So into the next braking zone again, that little shift to first and then back up to second to get that. It gets just a nice little drift going into the corner. I find that might not be the way everyone does it, but that's what I'm doing and it seems to work for me. And again here you're going to see going down to that second gear, it gets a bit too much of a drift going. You see I tried to do it so we do a little bit of a drift, but not to this extent. We actually do quite a controlled drift through the corner. It's actually quite rewarding that we didn't lose. I don't think we really lost that much time there, maybe half a tenth, but nothing too drastic. I managed to keep quite good speed all the way through there. And then into the final corners here, again, braking just after that 100 board, down to third gear. Make sure you hold fourth, then down to third for a brief second, half a second or so. It just helps with the rotation in there without over-rotating. And then try and carry that speed. Be careful you don't run wide on the exit there on the curb, because you can, again, pick up quite an easy penalty on that final 2 corners. But yeah, if that's helped you out, let me know in the comment section. Hopefully it's gave you some idea of how to get a bit more pace out of the MR cars, and I'll be back with more of these track guides and videos in the future and live streams. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all then. Bye everyone.